Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are going to be getting on into our next match, SK Gaming versus Looking for Sponsor. Looking for sponsors, actually.
It's very important. They don't want one. They want several.
Many sponsors. More than
At least two.
At
Yes.
least two. Alright, so they've got the drafting started already for the map, so let's take a quick look on over to there, so you don't have to stare at my beautiful face, or Gilly's even more beautiful face. She wins, I know, it sucks. Never casting with you again, Gilly. I normally cast with other nerds, and I don't have to, like, dress up or anything, but you just, oh, God, I had to do my hair this morning. Anyway, let's take a look at what's going on at the map drafting so far. We've got only Cursed Hollow and Dragonshire left, thank God. Thank God.
Life makes sense for us again. It is true. We will not have a third Blackheart's Bay, which would be too ridiculous at this point.
It would be just a little bit too ridiculous, but Cursed Hollow or Dragonshire. Ooh, Cursed Hollow is going to be the actual map, so that's nice. I like Cursed Hollow. It's a good map. Hopefully,
yes.
Hopefully we're going to be seeing some really good back and forth gameplay between Looking for Sponsors and SK Gaming. I think I've seen Looking for Sponsors before, but I don't really recall their performance.
Yeah, I have not really seen them very much. I've seen SK, I mean, obviously, as we've casted them now, but also in a lot more. But it is the next round of the ladder, so it is going to be, as we would think, a tougher competition either way for SK Gaming. And it looks like...
Sorry, I was just typing up a tweet so we could get all of our fans to come check this out, but Sylvanas going to be that first ban on Cursed Hollow. Talk about that. That's... Everybody, I think, wants to get rid of Sylvanas on this map as soon as possible.
Yeah, this map and maybe Haunted Mines as well, although we don't generally see Haunted Mines quite as often in the competitive scene as Cursed Hollow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you don't want to make... I mean, Sylvanas just in general, because it's such a large map, you leave her in one lane and all of a sudden you don't have a keep anymore, right? Like for like 5 seconds in the beginning of the game, Sylvanas is alone and your keep is down. Lost Vikings, the ban for Looking for Sponsors, much the same.
Yeah, these are two very standard bans on this map, and nothing crazy there at all. But SK Gaming are going to pick up a Nubarak, so once again prioritizing to get a Nubarak as their first pick.
Yeah, and that's not a bad decision. I mean, again, it worked out really well for them. That the Beetle build, of course, works out really well for just mercenary camps, but in the team fights as well. Going for just that super sustainy composition, I'm wondering if they're going to go for almost word for word the composition they had last game. I wonder if they're going to get that Tyrael again, too. That double blood for blood is nothing to scoff at.
No, it was amazing. And Tyrael is very good, but Looking for Sponsors are saying, no, you can't do that again. So they're going to go ahead and pick up the Tyrael pick. Could we maybe see then a double tank on both sides?
That's probably what I'm going to assume is going to happen. It's just because of just how ridiculously wrecked Healing Ward got in the last patch that I feel like the double tank meta is just the way that most people want to go.
Mm-hmm. And Tyrael and Nubarak are both not the super tankiest of tanks, so going with them as a single would be pretty risky, though it does happen sometimes, and you can take different builds to mitigate that. The second pick for Looking for Sponsors will be Jaina, and that, I mean, that's so standard as well. SK Gaming following up very quickly with Kael'thas and Vala, so everyone prioritizing damage at this point.
Yeah, and this is going to definitely lead up to SK Gaming picking up a second warrior. Once you get that Kael'thas, you know second warrior is going to win you the game. And that's going to be really nice. And we're going to see just who they're going to pick up. I'm going to assume Muradin, but I might be wrong on that. I might be Looking for Sponsors wants to pick up Muradin before SK Gaming gets it. Because that you have a Nubarak and you have Muradin, both very mobile, very quick to move around kind of warriors. Looking for Sponsors, though, I'm curious who they're going to pick up. Ooh, an Uther. That's going to be a nice pickup. And
yeah. Just building off of the stuns, you've got the Judgment into more stuns, Hammer of Justice from the Uther, so that's going to be really nice. And, of course, there's also the Cleanse potential, which is definitely something that you are going to enjoy having when you're facing the Nubarak. Also going for Illidan here, so the pretty squish so far, but it's still possible that they could be looking to get another tank as their last pick.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do. There's the Muradin. Awesome. SK Gaming, you were just making me so happy. I wonder if this, like, Bakery's sitting there because Bakery apparently listens to every word that I've said. And he's probably sitting here and he probably has me figured out, and he's just putting things down in a way that just makes me happy because that's what I assume. That's how the world works. It all revolves around me. But the Muradin's going to be a really good pickup there. Super, super mobile composition.
Wow.
Whoa.
The crispy taco!
I'm sorry?
The crispy taco is a term coined by TJ and Squadron with Tyrael Falstad, where Tyrael judgments in and then you drop Hinterland Blast right on top of it, and it just murders anybody squishy. Murders. I don't know why it's a taco. I have no idea.
I don't know why it's a taco either. I'm trying to figure it out.
I know. I've given up trying to make sense of it and just accepted it as a wonderful thing.
It's a really nice combination put together, especially because they don't really have any shields, except for, well, Brightwing's going to go for Protective Shield, maybe. Oh, no, she's probably going to pick up Promote. Promote on this map's going to be really strong, so they don't really have any direct shield to really kind of contradict that. If they go in on a Kael'thas or a Fallout, that's going to be a pretty big issue, unless the Muradin or the Anubarak gets the chance to actually interrupt Falstad or kind of keep him busy. That's going to be the question. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, and Falstad, of course, is a beast on this map because any sort of engagement where you get into one in the positioning where, you know, you're in one of those tunnels, especially like around that bruiser camp, means that everyone's going to be kind of in a line funneling in or trying to funnel back out. And that's when things are in a line, that's where Falstad excels with that Hinterland Blast.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want to do. Unless you go really weird Mighty Gust build, but I really hope that's not going to happen here. I mean, this is the EU, so I'm a little bit out of my element in order to determine what's actually going to happen here in the next couple of minutes. But we're probably going to be seeing that Hinterlands Blast with the Judgment. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be apparently called the Crispy Taco.
Yes, the crispy taco.
The crispy taco. So there's an article in there.
It is.
Crispy taco. Good to know. So anyway, we're gonna be seeing that. It's gonna be a pretty mobile team coming out here for looking for sponsors. The question is whether or not they can actually survive throughout those team fights.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Remember, I was just mentioning that Tyrael and Anubarak can be pretty squishy, and while SK Gaming has the Muradin on top of the Anubarak, it's just Tyrael for looking for sponsors. And of course, he's got Righteousness, he's got Shielding, he's going to have Uther there as well, and Uther is a pretty tanky support, but it's still not, you know, an ETC or a Muradin even.
And that's, I guess, what's going to be pretty interesting to see, that no ETC on this map. No tour buses today, and I'm kind of upset about that, just a little bit. But I'll let it slide.
Wait, you'll let it slide? Like power slide?
I have gotten so far into puns that I don't even realize I'm making puns anymore. Is this my life? Is this how it's supposed to come down? That I'm like making puns without even realizing it anymore? You know, when Town Hall enforced the Sham 2 can't pun for a week, I had to force my friends to hit me whenever I made puns because I didn't even realize I was making puns anymore. Like they just came out of my mouth. It was all subconscious now. It's how bad it gets. Crispy Taco Kiefer is apparently listening.
He knows. He knows.
We are on a delay though, so guys, of course, even if he is listening, it doesn't really matter that much. Just to, you know, put that out there, that even if the teams are listening, it doesn't really help them that much because 2 minutes in Heroes of the Storm is like half the game.
An eternity. I want to know, do you have a pun jar?
A pun jar?
You put a quarter in every time you pun? Because I'm pretty sure if you did that, you could buy a house in like 2 weeks.
I don't think my income would allow me to actually suffice that. I feel like that'd be a great way for me to learn how to save because I'm really bad at it. But I also don't think I could possibly deal with putting a quarter in every time I pun because, oh man, that would be at least a quarter of my income.
Well, okay. Well, I guess we'll let that.
That's a quarter in the jar.
Let that go. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we've got these really cool compositions coming in for both of these teams. Really interesting compositions as well. So I think we're ready to go. I'm going to let the teams know that we're ready to go. If you are in chat, I want you guys to shout out who you think is going to win this game. Is it going to be SK Gaming, the Leviathans of the EU, or is it going to be looking for sponsors? Are they going to find a sponsor today because of their ridiculous performance in the Gosu Gamers Cup number 2 qualifier number 10 match against SK Gaming? Are they going to wow us? It's on Cursed Hollow. Gilly, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I sure do love Tyrael and Falstad as heroes, and so I have to root for them just a little bit, but it's going to be a tough charge. Like you said, the Leviathans are SK Gaming, and on top of that, the sustain just looks better, right? They've got the 2 tanks, they've got the Brightwing. That's a tall order for sure.
It is quite an order. They're gonna like throw that back to the chef, and the chef's gonna be like, that's a bit to cook. You're gonna have to lag out the rest of the other tables, guys, because this is gonna take me a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on into this game. On the left-hand side, it is none other than looking for sponsors. Endo Rocket on the Illidan. We've got Barnes on the Falstad. Kritsu on the Tyrael. I'm gonna assume that's how you pronounce his name. Jaina is going to be played by Christ94. Kotar on the Uther.
And in the red, we once again have SK Gaming with Kiefer's playing Muradin Bakery on Vala. Zarmony on Nubarak. Playing Kael'thas once again is Snitch. And on the Brightwing bottom is Rave TGN.
Alright, so let's get this game underway. Both these teams picking up a nice little vision tower. It's going to be kind of getting that little nice vision. Make sure there's no crazy invades going on over there. But there is a 4-stack bush over here. This is the scariest bush. NA. EU, actually. Sorry.
NA and EU. It's just that scary.
Yes. International bush of scariness. It's the International House of Pancakes next business line.
Yeah. IB... okay, anyway.
Yeah, just give up.
The bush not really working so far. It looked like Bakery playing really smart, not seeing anybody on the map so far, and going to be able to make sure to avoid that bush of scariness as we have the party lane happening in mid.
Yeah, there's just kind of going to be a couple of people just hanging out, just doing damage back and forth, going to be able to sustain as well. Both of them doing pretty well. They've got the Anubarak and the Muradin, and they both have a really nice sustain mechanic. But Brightwing, their healer is going to be in the bot lane, whereas their healer is going to be sitting in the mid lane with them. So they're going to have a pretty nice amount of healing. Kael'thas versus Illidan in the top lane, and that's not going to be too favorable there for the Illidan, especially because Kael'thas went for that Fell Infusion yet again.
Oh, but Kotar and Christ are coming up here. They really want to try to catch Snitch here. They should know, though, that something is amiss. You don't see a couple of people, and here they come into growing in. Kotar is going to grab a stun. Snitch is going to go down. Rave just a little bit too late on the phase shift in, and they will be able to pick up the first blood.
Well, that's going to be really nice, at least here for SK, because of having Rave there. They're not going to lose any experience in that lane. So they're just going to lose the experience of the kill. That's a really big thing here, because if Snitch went down and somebody had to transfer up, that's a lot of experience they could have lost in the creep waves. Looks like there's a little bit of an engagement here with Kritsu. He's going to be able to back up, though.
Looking at the talents, does seem like Brightwing decided not to get bribed this time, instead going for Scouting Drone. And Kael'thas, once again, getting Fell Infusion. Got a great stun on top of Jaina, and that living bomb damage will be enough to get the kill there as they grab their level 4 talents.
You know, it's a living bomb, but Jaina ain't living anymore. She's going to have to res back up and come back into this, but it's a good time to die because there's no tribute up just yet. The tribute now just spawning, and she's going to be able to make her way over there, make this into a 5 versus 5 if they really want to. Falstad in the bot lane, though, is going to be able to soak for a little bit longer before having to fly up, so that's going to leave Anubarak to have to make a really weird decision.
Losing Jaina there on top really gave SK Gaming a chance to be able to pick up both towers there on top, and that's a significant experience boost for them now. They are going to go after this tribute. It does look like Anub is not even going to come up, and Falstad hasn't yet either.
Yeah, so it looks like this is just going to be a fight for a little bit, and maybe both teams are just fine with letting go of this first tribute. And both teams have hit level 4, so we're having just kind of standard talents coming out for both sides. Remember, this is a Muradin versus an Illidan, so Kiefer's going to have a really good time of picking up all the reverberation talent. Here comes Endo Rocket going right on in there. Muradin, Kiefer's throwing down his slam, going to be able to get that second pulse in as well with the Thunderstrike. And it looks like both these teams are just like, you know what, fine, have it. But neither of these teams are going to pick up the tribute.
Yeah, looking for sponsors was a little bit lower. They needed to go back and get some health there. Brightwing did as well, but remember, she can phase shift right back in, so still good. At any point, Falstad could fly in here, and he is having a little bit of a difficulty dealing with that Anub, but is still doing so. And meanwhile, though, because they were still low, it looks like SK Gaming will be able to pick up the tribute as sponsors were still pretty low.
Yeah, and that's going to be a really nice victory for them, of course. Tributes, you need to get 3 of them before you get that curse, but once you start getting a couple of those tributes above your opponents, you can start forcing your opponents to make some really weird decisions. Zarmany getting engaged upon, but he's going to be able to burrow charge right on out of there. He's got to back up, though, so he's going to be losing a lot of experience during this time. Barnus going to sit here and just kind of soak up the lane.
They are a little bit ahead in experience, so it's not too big of a deal. They've got their level 7 talents, but sponsors are right on their heels. They've grabbed them as well. Are you seeing anything interesting in the talents? I do see the cleanse once again from Uther.
Yeah, that cleanse is going to be huge. Of course, because you've got the Muradin as well as the Anubarak, as well as Polymorph and everything else coming out here from the enemy team. Nothing really too crazy, I guess, at the time. Falstad is going to be going for his Boomerang build, picking up the Power Throw Boomerang and gathering power. If he gets a lot of kills, he's going to be sitting in a really nice spot. Zarmany getting caught out at the last second there by looking for sponsors, so SK Gaming probably going to have to take a back foot on this. No, it looks like they're going to go for a full engage here, but they have to get this going really quickly because Uther's making his way down here.
Yeah, they at least still have one tank here because they do have the 2 tanks, so that's at least a little bit nice for them, but throwing out a ton of damage is Barnas on that Falstad. He's already gotten 1 kill going toward that gathering power, and now Rave getting very, very low is going to get a shield, but will it be enough? I don't think so. Brightwing's going to go down, and there goes the healer for SK Gaming as looking for sponsors pick up their own tribute.
Yeah, so that's going to be a 1-for-1 now. This is going to even up the tributes. Of course, this is going to allow for next team to pick up that second tribute, and second leads to third, of course, but the second tribute is one of those really nice pivotal ones, because then it forces the enemy team to have to respond to it. So either way, one of these teams is going to be sitting ahead next tribute. The question is, who's it going to be? And that is going to be a pivotal one. Why? Because level 10 looks like it's just on the cusp for both these teams by the time that comes around.
It's right around the corner. We've got a good push happening on bot, but nobody was soaking top for a very long time for SK Gaming, and that meant that Illidan was able to kind of get a lot of soak in there as well. There's even a push for SK Gaming, a little bit of a minion one there in mid, and on bot they were able to secure both of those turrets. Now they're coming up, maybe going to try to get a gank on Kurizu. He's got to get out of there, and now they're rotating, trying to get these last towers in front of the fort. They've done a really good job of rotating, getting all of the towers in front of all the forts.
Well, if you want my favor, you better run. Here comes a tribute now spawning up here, and this is going to be one of those pivotal moments. Look at this, Gilly. Everybody's so close to level 10. It's just shies away. I mean, Brightwing's got to sit there and soak. Looks like level 10 going to be grabbed here by SK first, and that's going to allow for them to get a little bit of dominance, a little bit of map control in this Kritsu. Going to throw in the Anduin's Might just to stop the tribute, but it's going to go on over here to SK Gaming. Here comes the Phoenix. Not going to be able to zone out too much. It looks like the rest of the team here for the sponsors going to have to disengage.
Yeah, they still had people soaking. They didn't quite get that 10, and that meant they couldn't really set up in positioning. Those tributes that spawn in those rock outcroppings are so perilous in terms of positioning. But there goes the water elemental, not really going to get too much done. Does slow down Snitch, but he was already back enough that they weren't able to catch him out or anything like that. And now that will be down for 60-some seconds.
Yeah, that's actually going to be quite a good amount of time for that to be down. That's not something like a Phoenix, which was just used, but guess what? Is back up again.
Look at Brightwing, this time picking up Emerald Wind for her heroic ability. So not going to have the applicability of that Blink Heal or the sustain, but they will be able to have that disengage as well as being able to use it to try to maybe zone somebody out, get a quick kill off of it.
We've got the fourth tribute of the game now spawning up here. If SK picks it up, it's a curse. So this is going to be a pretty big fight. 11 for both of these teams right now. One heroic is down, and that's going to be that water elemental. So you were saying before, that's going to be a long cooldown for that to be down, and that's a really good point here. They're not going to have the water elemental. They're not going to have a ridiculous amount of burst damage and that extra entity out on this team fight, but they could potentially take this fight still. Kritsu taking a lot of damage, gonna have to try and turn back around and go back in. Phoenix now starting to do a lot of damage. All they have to do is lag it out for as long as the Phoenix is around and just get back up into sustaining. Phoenix back down again. Don't worry, it'll be up in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it could even be back up before the end of this fight. There goes the Judgment, though. It's going to be on Snitch, and there is the follow-up. Pendulum Blast takes out Chaos Law so fast, but Christy was very, very low as well. There goes Uther and Tyrio for that as well. Indo Rocket getting very, very low, but Bakery will be the next to fall thanks to a great hammering. That hammering was insane. And now Rave, though, is picking up the tribute. Those 2 tanks are still up in zoning, and that's all it took. They lost their damage dealers, but they still had the 2 tanks to zone while Rave could pick up the tribute.
I'm really glad they didn't overcommit here because now they have the opportunity to actually turn this into a fight. Kiefer's looking like he wants to go for the hammer, but it did not actually land it. against the Hammer King Falstad. That's going to be a hard one to do. But it looks like it's going to be pretty nice, at least for now, for Looking for Sponsors to hold this off. They only lost 2 members in that last team fight, so they had a good amount of bodies already around to just kind of help deal with all the pushing in lanes from this curse. Already, we can see that SK is not really able to do that much. They haven't even taken a fort yet. They're probably going to be able to take out this top fort, but Chrisu and Endo Rocket are going to try and fend it off for now.
Oh, what a great catch on that Jaina there. Brightwing even coming in to throw down a polymorph. There is their level 13 talents on top of that. So now they're going to be at a good bit of an advantage. They take out that bottom fort. It looks like a noob still trying to make something happen with that mid fort, which is getting very low thanks to Winions. But meanwhile, a push on bottom as SK is going for these towers, saying, okay, fine, you won't let us grab your forts, then we're just going to continue pushing in toward this keep.
Yeah, and those keep towers worth a lot of experience, 650 experience each one. That's even a little more than a fort, I think, or a little less than a fort. So that's a huge amount of experience to be giving up right now. And they're going to pick up 2 of those, so that's going to be a huge amount of experience to go in their lead. Look, already, they were almost paired 13 to 13, but now it's 13 to 14. That's the power of the curse, all the experience as well as the map control that it grants you. Here's the scary point, though. Both bosses are up. Neither team really looks like they want to go for them just yet. SK Gaming still kind of moving around on the map, but losing a little of that map control at the time being.
Look at the talents. 2 spell shields for the tanks, plus the ice block for the SK Gaming, but 2 giant killers for Looking for Sponsors, both on Illidan and Falstad, with the ice block as well on Jaina. So looking to survive, but also looking to try to cut through the amount of tankiness that SK Gaming have.
And that's going to be absolutely massive. The question is whether or not they can actually get those warriors down quick enough. They have the Brightwing on against them, so that's going to be a lot of damage they have to cut through because of the regenerative rains as well as her just normal passive trait. Looks like SK Gaming doesn't see where their opponents are, but they're going to go brazenly into this boss. Are they looking to turn this around? Snitch a little bit far forward, but it looks like he's going to be able to rotate on back. He's going to be able to use that flamethrower, do a lot of damage. Kiefer's taking a lot of hits. The boss is really low. There's the Emerald Wind. There's the Crispy Taco on Snitch. Not going to be able to do enough damage. Tyrael now is down. Kiefer's taking a lot of damage. Is he going to go down, though? Endo Rocket is really low on health. He's going to go down. Snitch still alive. That's a 3-for-1 here. SK Gaming taking a very, very nice fight.
Man, the Brightwing had such an amazing Emerald Wind. It was like Metamorphosis, and instantly he was pushed back, dealing and taking a ton of damage too. A lot of people don't realize Emerald Wind does a bunch. And because 3-for-1 trade in favor of SK Gaming, they're going to go after this boss, even dropping Phoenix to help use it, because as we know, that cooldown will be right back up for the next fight.
Yeah, I mean, you know what also is going to be up next fight? Phoenix. Oh, it's going to be back up in like 10 seconds anyway. That's just how Phoenix works. I'm going to keep relying on that joke for a bit. But it's really nice, though, that SK is able to take this really huge lead because they're about to hit that level 16, and their opponents... Oh, wow. Look at that fort. That fort has had 5 health. 5 health left on that guy. But, yeah, you know, with SK being able to grab this level 16, they have a good enough time, and I think it's going to be enough time that the next tribute is going to spawn after the curse, and it's still going to be a 15 to 16 fight. If not 15 to 17.
Looking for sponsors. They did at least get the giant golem down without it doing too much to the keep, so that's at least nice. And they were able to stave off, but not before losing both turrets in front of that keep as well. And a really good scouting drone by Brightwing was enabling them to just keep tabs on this golem. And now they're going to be going after this boss as well. This is going to make Looking for Sponsors have to deal with the age-old debate. Do we deal with the golem or do we go for the tribute?
Yeah, that's always going to be one of those really hard questions to kind of to really decide, because this is going to go straight for their keep. This is not going to go towards a fort. This is not going to have to go through a ton of work to do this. They are going to pick up the Siege Giants. That's going to at least help them deal with that damage by a little bit. But the question is, if they leave this Grave Golem and they let it just kind of push, it's going to take out probably a good amount of that keep, and it's going to be a huge liability later on. They just have to let up this tribute. This is going to allow SK to sit up to 2 tributes right now over, or at least 1 tribute over their opponents, and 2 tributes, 1 more is going to be a curse.
Yeah, at the very least, Looking for Sponsors know that that isn't going to equal a curse, but this keep is going down so fast. They there's a ton of damage going on it from SK Gaming, and right now our level 16 talents are up 4 looking for sponsors, but they dealt just enough damage to ensure that they were able to pick up that keep. And now 1 keep is down. That's going to be catapults pushing. And on top of that, the other keep is exposed, already has taken some damage as well. All 3 forts still up for SK.
Forts and towers at that for the mid lane. Towers are down in bot lane. Forts and towers are up for the bot lane. So SK, in terms of map presence, in terms of map control, have shown that with that map presence, with that map control, they have just kept all of their structures. And those structures are the real objective of this game. You know, say what you will about how many times your opponents kill you, etc., and how many deaths you give up. The real thing is you want to get to that core, and those forts are sitting in front of every single one of those.
Very true. Now we are going to have at least an equal fight in terms of talents here, and it looks like looking for sponsors want to set up some sort of a trap. There goes Keepers into it, and there is a very quick judgment into Hinterland Blast, but nobody quite goes down. A great ice block from Brightwing. Bakery getting very low, will die to this Archangel's Wrath from Tyrael. There he goes. But meanwhile, while that's going on, Tyrael, Jaina, and Illidan already down. Barnes is going to go down as well, and that will be a quick kill on that Falstad. Here goes a tribute for SK. There will be a curse on top of looking for sponsors, and this is going to be very difficult to hold.
In fact, this might be game if they get all of their force, all of their might in here in the mid lane. They've got bruises coming in with them. SK Gaming looking like they're going to take their second victory of the day, because the only person who's up right now is Kotar, and I don't think an Uther can fend off the wrath of all of SK Gaming sans their Vala. And that's going to be the biggest issue here, is that they're going to take this game, and looking for sponsors is going to be looking to take another qualifier later on.
That will be game. Great job by SK Gaming of just keeping the advantage in their favor, constantly being up a talent here in order to secure any sort of game fights. I was really rooting for the Crispy Taco, but it just wasn't quite enough to deal with the tankiness of SK Gaming.
Well, you know what? It's about lunchtime here in America, so we should all probably just go get some crispy tacos, because the crispy tacos that were provided in this game were not satisfying enough. However, I don't know how it is in Europe right now, but if you guys want some tacos, I can send you over some recipes. Tacos are delicious. You should go get some. Anyway, taking a look at that game, SK just had a dominating stranglehold on the entire match, the entire time. And not only that, but it gets even scarier and scarier because Kel'Thas didn't really get too low, didn't really get too crazy, and he only gets more powerful as the game goes on.
Yeah, the level 16, when you take that Living Bomb talent, your damage just skyrockets. And he was really good at staying in position, even with a Tyrael who is able to dive in, and Illidan who actually dives in as well. Just, they did such a good job of keeping him alive, both with good positioning, but also the Brightwing pick with the Emerald Wind was crucial there so many times, was able to just force Illidan back, and in that amount of time they were able to take him off thanks to some great targeting.
Well, guys, we're going to run to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be following SK Gaming just a little bit more and seeing where they're going on into this tournament. So stay tuned. This is Enter the Storm Cup number 2. Qualifier number 10. Trying to remember all the numbers that come up out of all of this. 10. There we go. 10 fingers on our hands. It's qualifier number 10. Stay tuned.